I'm Beth Fletcher, I'm an artist, and this is what I do all day. When I'm in the landscape, I sort of lose myself. I'm absorbing everything. I'm absorbing the light, the textures, the feel of the air on my skin. Different aspects of the environment are constantly shifting in and out of focus, so there's a layered feeling there. Sometimes there might be a wow moment and something will make an instant impact, but even so, things take a while to really sink right down into you. You might not paint that moment of impact until years later, but in the meantime, all your experiences are informing that memory until the time when something sheds an interesting light on it and it becomes an urgent thing. And then I start exploring and, in a sense, recreating that original moment of impact with all the added nuances that it's picked up along the way. For me, the experience of painting is like being in a martial arts fight. It's intense, it's controlled, it's complex. So when I'm painting, I want to be Jackie Chan. You don't get to be Jackie Chan without a lot of practice and experience. So as I'm working, I'm accessing a lifetime of sensory and cognitive experiences, as well as many years of learning the language of paint. So I go into battle knowing all the moves, as it were, but it's still very demanding because it's unpredictable. It's enormously energetic brain work. You're in this fight with the painting, and you have to be completely alert and aware of how each mark is going down and how it's affecting the painting as a whole. You have to react quickly. Your mind is constantly asking questions and making decisions and making adjustments, and all the time the painting is hanging on a knife edge. The next mark could throw it all off balance, so you have to be very vigilant. You're always trying to keep that balance between control and risk. Then there are surprises, and you lay down a colour or a mark and suddenly it throws up a different possibility and you have to decide what to do. It's a bit like getting lost in the woods. Do you follow that new path, which might be more interesting, or do you make your way back to the path you were on? Do you take that risk, or do you take control? So you're always learning from the process. And there's the classic problem of when to finish. I need to win the fight. I need to achieve that sense of rightness in the painting, but I still need it to be alive at the end. I want it still wriggling when it's on the gallery wall. It has to have that vitality. And even if the whole tone and intention of a work is quietness and stillness, there still needs to be a sense of movement, of intrigue, a suggestion that something more can be discovered in it, something that makes you want to keep looking. Anything. I think if you're an artist, you're always on, you're always open to whatever's around you, you're absorbing things and looking at things all the time. And if you're constantly musing on how you're going to solve a particular problem in what you're working on, or express a certain idea, then pretty much anything can become inspiration. You notice an interesting colour combination, you might catch a scent that sets the tone for a painting, music, a conversation, a beautifully crafted sentence. Words are a big influence. Landscape itself is an interesting word. It's very different from nature, environment, scenery. It's a word that was created by art, really, and it's got a very rich history. To me, it implies a sort of conceptual ordering of our environment rather than manipulation or indifferent observation. It's hands-on, it's willing to interact, it's willing to accept the unexpected. The word hinterland has been quite important to me. In one sense, it describes a particular type of in-between landscape. But it has that other sense of the unknown, the not quite visible or understood. It's places that aren't on the map, hidden places, otherworldly places, places that speak to you, that give us a glimpse of something that we yearn for. I also find that language structures apply to the way that I work. You can use paint as metaphor, simile, adjective, adverb. You use it in imitation of natural forces to express softness or fury or whatever, and then the landscape is translated into the language of paint on canvas. And there has to be a certain grammar and punctuation to the structure and rhythm of the work. In that way, make your painting is a bit like writing a sonnet. You need a huge amount of artistry and control over the form in order to be able to express something powerfully and with real freedom. I remember overhearing somebody at an exhibition once who was looking at one of my paintings and saying, well, you'd never see that in nature. But it's actually a painting I'd done from life, a study, standing at my studio window. And equally, people will be absolutely adamant that they know a place that's in a painting that I have created from a composite of landscape forms, and it's a place that doesn't technically exist. I'm really interested in the way we perceive the landscape, how we edit the way that we see it. We don't truly see what we don't understand, and with landscape in particular, I think we often learn how to see it through the medium of art. People sometimes say to me, I never really saw such and such until I saw it in your paintings. That really shows how landscape is so much a construction of the mind. It's personal, it's subjective. We treat it as a sort of thinking space. We think of it as storing our memories and our stories. We're always changing our concept of it, but it changes us too. It grounds us and it moves us, and it can put us in our place. We're affected by it every day. We're affected by the light and the weather and just the shape of the land around us. It's so fascinating. There's this constant fluid give and take coming along below the surface, and I think I'm interested in painting that dialogue, or at least my dialogue, my experience of landscape, rather than the landscape itself in terms of a traditional view. So landscape is, for me, in a way, a motif, a collection of forms to be arranged and explored, a language of its own, really. I think that's why I'm also drawn to water and to the sky. I love those nuanced, abstract qualities, the ambiguity, the slipperiness of perception there. You need to work at it, to apply your imagination. You have to feel your way towards what you're seeing.